Hey guys, how you going? Campbell here from Autodidactic Channel. Hope you're all having a fabulous day. And today I wanted to take a look at a book I found about Rome. And it's a bit interesting when you see the buildings in it. Yeah, so we'll get into that. Here it is, Historical Photos, the Catacombs of Rome, taken with magnesium light, by John Henry Parker. So let's jump into it. Okay, and to start with, this is just a picture inside the catacombs. As you can see, there's a bit of artwork, and obviously this is where all the bodies were kept, or so we're told. Here we go, a bit of a shot. Now, just look how decrepit this is. Like, look at this brickwork, it's just completely destroyed, falling apart. Down here we have the catacombs. Apparently this is where the bodies are. Look how thick the wall is too. Big arches, more arches below. I don't know, what do you reckon? Built for catacombs? Because look at this wall here. What's going on with that? And we've got this, but see, this is the same thing. This is the archway, but look how deep it is. So when we looked at this one there, you can see a wall there. So what are they doing? Just lying people in here? I don't know. And look, it's just completely been uncovered. It was under the ground. So a bit weird, that one. Part of the place for washing the bodies at the entrance with the arcosolia, or arched tombs, partly rebuilt in the 4th century. So this bit here is where they wash the bodies, and these are the tombs, partly rebuilt in the 14th century. Look at that. It's just all smashed apart, so I'm not sure what the narrative with this is, but that's clearly been unearthed. So maybe they were saying it was from the 14th century, and of course you've got to ask how that got buried in 600 years, if there wasn't something like a mud flood occurring. This is just some artwork. Some of the artwork's a bit strange too. Oh, he looks a bit angry. Because, you know, this is like a cemetery. This is where the dead bodies are. You think he'd be happy. He's got his flowers, but he looks rather annoyed. I want to keep these flowers. Oh, and there's one of the inhabitants. Here again, this funny face. He just looks a bit nefarious, doesn't he? And there, this man has dropped his chin so far, it's literally on the ground. Fresco painting of the 4 seasons. Okay. Looks a bit demonic, doesn't he? Okay, is that supposed to be Jesus and Mary? What's this? Well, this guy looks a bit evil. Some dancing dudes. Yay, you're dead. Welcome to the afterlife. And, ooh, some flying dragon breathing fire. A bit more of the artwork. Oh, it looks like Jesus again. No idea what's going on there. Something underground. And here we have one of the tombs. And fairly elaborate. Look at the ceiling up here. Another one. And, I mean, just looking repurposed a bit to me. I mean, all this structure built just to put bodies in as a mass sort of cemetery. It seems a bit, you know, like a waste of resources. Okay, so here we go. This is some of the stuff I wanted to show you. So look at this dome. Obviously the same as we see everywhere. Nice vanilla skies. Because you can see this is a lot clearer than this top bit. It sort of disappears from here on up. So they're blacking something out there. And this, again, you know, could be a drawing, couldn't it? But apparently it's a photo. And just, you know, go down here with his house. Nice two-story house, walls, and just this thing in the background. Now this, what is this? This is called Sepulcro Presa Porta Maggiore. Got an old brick wall in front of it, but this thing looks like a machine. Now, they're saying again it's like a crypt. It's for dead bodies. You put the dead bodies in here, or you put the urns with the ashes or whatever in there. But really, look at this thing. Very, very, very old and weathered. Covered in art again. But, I mean, look at that. Very machine-like, because look at the bottom of it. What's going on there? Got round, round, square, round, round, square. Very, very strange structure. And this, a pyramid. And of course, they built it straight through the wall of this castle. Look, see how this comes down, then it flutes out? Just looking very, very old as well. And so is this pyramid. No doubt they're going to tell us that this is a tomb for someone. You know, that big. So I wonder if that goes under the ground. Now this place, I do not know what's going on here. It's just got a name, but look at the walls. I mean, this, what's going on here? You know, we've got like this wall here, looks, you know, pretty good, pretty intact. I'm not sure if that's brick or if it's just wood they've put there, but look at this outside. What are all these holes? Square holes, and then these round holes everywhere. All across here, and the whole front of this arch seems to have been just, I don't know, something's gone on there. All up here, and look at this, you can actually see the joints here in the facade or in whatever it was. So we're looking at something very old here. Look at this. Now, Conspiracies Are Us did a video recently. It was called Cannonballs and Mountain Churches or something similar. But he was showing cannonballs that were mounted in the side of buildings and things. And also this pitting effect that is caused, I can't remember the name, but it's basically caused by extreme heat and plasma and stuff like that. And this just, I don't know. I mean, it just looks like someone sat there with a gun or something and shot at it, but it hasn't really done a lot of damage. It's just covered in stuff. And then up here, look at this. It's just very old world. And again, you can see this is all pieces sort of put together instead of one actual big facade. So it's like, I mean, what were they doing? Manufacturing these and then just sticking them on? And again, look how old this building is. It's just falling apart. But there's, and look how tall it is. And this again looks, you know, this looks like newer architecture than this. And this looks newer than this. It looks like they've been built on top of each other. And there's someone living down here. Again, look at this. Look at this column. What are all these holes? Look at them. All across here, and again you can see the joins in the columns. But these holes are all at the side of the building. And I mean, how old is this looking? Look at this. Down here, and then look at this bridge. What's going on there? Can you see that this, you know, internal arch thing? Have they built around that? I mean, it almost looks like it was stepped and that was some kind of design at the top. But again, what are these holes? Look at them. Just everywhere. All at the side here. Is that an old world? Yeah, it is too. Old world lamp. So what's going on? Look at this one. Just in a massive state of disrepair. It looks like, I don't know, the whole facade's fallen off this. You know, still got the pillars here. Oh my gosh, are they bollards? Look, we've got like a little half door down here. They've opened this one up a bit. And look at that. Just looking so ancient and just destroyed. Here, just holes and pitting. Look at them, but they're almost in line, aren't they? Like, was that? I'm just looking at this statue. See how they kind of look like they're, you know, could that be how the statues were held on? Or were there sort of pins or something on the back of them? Is that what's actually happened here? Is the facade fallen off? Because look at this. Okay, look at that. See the two holes there? And look, 2, 4, 6. And look at this. 2, 4, 6, and 2 holes on an angle. Okay, we might be getting somewhere here because look, there's no, obviously this facade's still on and there's no holes in it. See that? There's no holes in that. There's a couple here in the pillar. I mean, this looks a lot more random down here, but I mean, I don't know. These ones up here with those holes, they're just completely the same as each other. How did they put the facades on? And again, here we go. Look, we've got old world paved roads and a mud flood building, a very old mud flood building. This is someone's grave called Diana. Is that a foot? Oh my God. Here we have the urns, and here we have the many-breasted Phoenician deity. Got the, is that the Oribus around her neck? Don't know, it could be a snake, could just be a wreath. Got the 3 crowns on each side, and King of the Castle. Look at that. So you can see, blah, 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 having a look. But again, how is this stuff attached? I wonder what is going on there. What is that? Okay, this is someone's tomb, I think they're saying. Maria. I'll say Maria Bra. Okay, maybe. I don't know, maybe it's a church or something. What have we got here? Is this? I don't even know what that is. Maybe the photo's been damaged. Just look at, there was a temple that's been like completely crushed and oh yeah, right, the whole facade's fallen off the brick. Look at that brick wall, and this has just crumbled off. How interesting, same bit has happened up here. So is that what's happening here? Is that all pitted because the facade's fallen off? And here's a few more pics of Rome. Back in the day, completely inundated by mud and destroyed. I don't think we have a date on this one. 1600s, I believe. No, I was wrong. It says 1748. So 1750, just 250 years ago is what they are saying. I'm not sure how to get rid of this. Go away there. Alright, so yeah, look at this picture in the foreground. We've got a few people standing on some old walls, you know, trying to stay out of the mud. And in the background, you know, the same buildings we see everywhere. Look at these arches and just, I mean, look at this thing. Is this a big obelisk or big stone that's fallen over? And of course, this main building here is just destroyed. Look at it, and you can see even there they've drawn, that's like one of those half dome portico things that we see the statues in by the looks of it. doorways, you know, complete symmetry everywhere. And look at this giant next to miniature. And oh, are they trees growing on the top? So it's been devastated for a while by the looks of it. And of course down here, look at all this mud flow. And you can see underneath here there's more arches that are completely covered up. So there we go. I'll leave the link to these photos as well, but just, you know, less than 300 years ago in Rome, you know, and this is what we're told was this great civilization that went, you know, Roman around the world. But is that really true? Because look at the reality of what we're being shown. It was a destroyed, found civilization like everything else. This is a nice shot. Nice colours, very well drawn. I mean, obviously, just look at the size of the people. Look at these people here, and look at this doorway. Is that not ridiculous? But look at this gateway. So you can see there's been something. There used to be a big wall along here that's been destroyed. Got an old bollard just sitting in the ground. All the roads have been covered. Doesn't look like there's any pavement. This looks like dirt. Everyone in their finery though. You know, with their little hats on. I'm not sure what those hats are called, those three-sided hats. But yeah, look at this in the background, this amazing giant building. But yeah, definitely been smashed at some point. And this one, obviously they've recovered and it wasn't destroyed too much, but destruction there as well. And here's another one. Whoops. And this one, the foundation of Rome. I'm not sure if that's a date. 63I, 631. Don't know. But yeah, again, you know, just people sitting around, hardly anyone there, and giant buildings in the background. And as we can see, this one has completely lost its roof. And we have this huge tower just standing out there. It also looks like it may have lost something off the top. Looking very antiquity, and also looking, you know, quite a bit like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, especially the top bit, and sitting up on this huge pedestal. And I mean, just look at the size of these people. It's just silly. And yeah, just, you know, no trees, no vegetation. It just looks like it's covered in mud. And so is this what they walked into, and they just started, because we know, you know, all these buildings pretty much have been re-roofed. You know, a lot of the domes, you know, we've got pictures of the domes being, you know, redone as well. So I'm not sure if they all have, what the deal is there, but definitely most of these buildings, or probably all of them, have been re-roofed. And here's just a shot of the Vatican back in the day. And I mean, just look at the size of this place. These are people. These little ant-like things, that's us. Look at the size of this obelisk. And I believe that is the one that they said they moved from Egypt in a boat. And just these buildings, I mean, look at the size of these. I mean, there's levels down here. Just, you know, all completely symmetrical. And then, of course, at the end we have the dome. And this is, again, a familiar layout that we see. Big dome buildings at the end. Of course, there'll be 4 small domes around it. Then there's an obelisk. I'm pretty sure there always was an obelisk. Then we normally get water. And then at the end, like an arch. So that there's some kind of setup going. And we see these often too. These, you know, semicircle, pillared, whatever they are. And also in this, you'll notice a bit of mud flooding. You can see the stairs. This has all been covered up by the looks of it with mud. And people just walking around in the mud. But look, that's a horse and cart. And look at the size of these pillars. Just, I mean, that is just made for giants. Here's another picture. This one, I'm not exactly sure what it is. It looks like I don't know, it's a round I don't know, what do you think? The top of a turret or something? Oh, but I don't know, it looks like whatever this is, it's just had a hole blown out of it. Just smacked. Marble stone buildings. No traces are left above the ground. I'll leave you the link for this book as well. This is called The Destruction of Rome. It's actually in English. So I haven't had a good read of it yet, but yeah, I will, and I'll leave you the link. And this is an interesting picture. This is again from that book, Ancient Rome, and this is levels. Look at this, modern level up here. This must be feet above sea level, maybe 21,000. This is the level after Nero's fire. Down here, level before Nero's fire, and down here the sewer of the Tomb of the Kings. What? Tome? Is that Tome? Sewer of the Tomb of the Kings. Okay, so look at that. That's showing you there that there's one old ancient level down here, then another, and then the modern world on top. And I guess the question is, does this building actually get, do these go all the way through? But yeah, pretty interesting here. And like I said, this is in English. So here he's talking about the main sewer drains, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, could be an interesting read. Just some random pillars out in the middle of the countryside, some old blocks as you do. And here we go. Look at this. So massive old world building here, and they're just digging stuff out. You can see this is a wall. This is a wall over here. We've got a man in a hat with a very cool moustache, I think. We have the watcher up here, and here we have the people posing. I mean, do these people ever do work? They just sit there posing. Got the old wheelbarrow here, but clearly they are excavating this and they're digging stuff out. And as we saw in that last photo, we've got the modern world here, and then below got a whole nother civilization. And of course, this is what we are calling a mud flood, because the thing is, they tell us that all these buildings underground are just there, over time, land built up. But here you can see, this is the land they're telling us built up, and the time period is what, probably 1,000 years or so. They're trying to say for this much dirt to just appear and just bury stuff. And what? Were people not sweeping? Were they just letting their houses get covered slowly? It's just a ridiculous story. Clearly it had to happen in one go, one inundation. And as you can see, this is full of rubble, bricks. We have a massive stone here. And yeah, you can see this is bits of old buildings under here. Here's another shot just where you can see the different layers, and very, very old wall, big blocks up here, and coming down to what looks like smaller bricks or maybe a facade. Got all these holes along here. And this is part of the upper story of the Colosseum, repaired with materials from earlier buildings. So there you go. So this is the original wall, and this is not a very good repair job. I think whoever did that thought they were playing Tetris or something. And here's another view of the Colosseum showing repairs, and again, as you can see, got the old world stuff here, got a doorway by the looks of it there. I've got some kind of pitting, along here. Don't know what it is, but clearly you can see it's been smashed off here, and they've come in and they've rebuilt the top bit. And look, is this, I don't know if this is plants or if they've recovered it and then it's fallen off. But yeah, and we find this with lots of these old structures now. So many of them, we're learning that they've been rebuilt. They were uncovered and they've been rebuilt at some stage. So so much has been changed, just so much. And this one, bit of destruction here, the monument of Stilicho in the Forum. Now I don't know if that's a person there, probably not, they look tiny, but yeah, look, huge columns, blocks everywhere. I mean, this looks very old and battered, this thing, doesn't it? And just plonked on top of this pedestal thing. And then up the top, we've got the New World built on top. So again, you know, is this part of this? Because that looks like a wall, doesn't it? Don't know what that is, bit of Antiquitech, but just destroyed. Doesn't say much there, so yeah, just the monument of Stilicho in the Forum. I mean, that's just giant sized and just destroyed. And that's the thing, how do you push something that big over? I mean, what kind of forces are we talking here? Because that's ridiculous. And here's just a bit from this book, kind of interesting. After the removal of the imperial court to Byzantium, After the removal of the imperial court to Byzantium, the municipal regulations requiring the removal of the city refuse to a safe distance apparently fell into abeyance, or disobedience, I guess, and all sorts of materials seem to have been heaped against the walls. Stilicho had neither time nor means to cart away the bank of debris, which certainly diminished his chances of a successful defence. So he contented himself with levelling it off and spreading it over the adjoining land in 402. Therefore, the Imperial Rome of line of the walls was raised at 1 by 10 or 12 feet. Okay, so that's the story. This is obviously, this was written around 1900, this book. So this is how they're trying to explain the mud flood. They're saying it came from, you know, people's rubbish heaped up against walls. I mean, what kind of rubbish was this? Because all we get down there is dirt. We're not getting bits of, you know, furniture and stuff in there, really, are we? A few bits and pieces, maybe. And then, yeah, so he just leveled that off, and it came to 10 or 12 feet of ground, you know, level rise. So, I mean, come on. He's saying clearly something, you know, happened, and it did rise 10 or 12 feet, but that story's a bit silly, really. The best evidence of this fact is to be found at the Porta Ostiensis, now the Porta di Espaola, close to the pyramid of Cestius. The threshold of the gate of 402 is about 12 feet higher than the base of the pyramid. And the threshold of the gate 272, again the Arch of Augustus, which formed the gate, is 10 or 12 feet lower. So here we go. Now I showed a picture of this in another video of a pyramid. I'm wondering if this is the same one, because I think it is, because no, it definitely is, because I showed this how it fluted out. So interesting. And I was asking the question, I wonder how, you know, does this keep going down? So what they're saying is this is all leveled up inside here, but down here seems to be ground level. And then he's saying it's still gone under the ground here. So the pyramid still goes under the ground, and so does this wall. So there's all these different levels, but maybe this must be what he's talking about, the 12 or 10 feet here, and that's a wall. Sorry. This is an old castle. And so he must be talking about the depth of this that goes down. The Tiburtine gate of 272 is 10 or 12 feet lower. Gate. But yeah, so there we go. Anyway, the ground level has been raised 10 or 12 feet back in the year 400, he's saying, 402. This is the remains of the Clandian Aqueduct at Porta Ferba. And again, look at all this, you know, the dirt and the mud and the levels here. It's just not, just been inundated. I mean, look how ancient this is. I'm not sure if they're saying that's part of the aqueduct. I would say this is the aqueduct. I'm not really sure, but whatever it is, it looks extremely old, extremely battered and destroyed. And you can see, look, that's a little house. So completely gigantic as well. So who built all this stuff? The tomb of Vibius Marianus, so called the tomb of Nero. Again, just mud flooded, ancient, destroyed. And here's another picture of what we were looking at earlier with the catacombs. You can see in the side here, facade falling off, and yeah, I don't know what the explanation for this is. A crematorium or something maybe, but got steps going up here, but clearly, you know, look at the top here, it's just all smashed off. And it looks to be below ground. I'm not sure if there's a ground level up here, or if they're just trees growing on the top. But obviously in those other pictures, you know, we saw it was completely below ground. You can see the ground level here as well. Just this, and look at the size of it. I mean, that's a big arch, and again, just all red brick and just perfectly done. You know, so, you know, were these built as catacombs? Who knows? And here's another one, another sepulchre they call them, but another catacomb or a tomb. This one's showing a hole where someone's jumped through apparently, but I mean, look at this ceiling. This is what we see in buildings above ground all the time. See, look at this, all covered. We've got angels here. You know, the arched roof. This looks very much like red brick. This lady looks like she's wearing too much makeup. And yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Is this just something that's found underground and someone says, well, let's use it as a tomb? Because that doesn't look like it was built as a tomb. It looks like it was, you know, part of an ancient old world building that just ended up underground, under mud. Here's another shot. In the distance, remains of Claudian Aqueduct. We can see, whoops, here's a nice bit of a building just standing there. The rest of it has been destroyed. Notice there's nothing here. This is all just barren. I'm not sure what that is, but there in the background, look at this huge aqueduct. And just massive bits of it taken out. And, well, I mean, what can you say? This is kind of the money shot, really, isn't it? Look at that. So this is Rome in the late 1800s, all these photos are from. The column of focus the column of fuckus, whoops. The column of focus in the forum at the right, further back, the remains of the Temple of Saturn. So I guess this is the remains of the Temple of Saturn. Here we have, you know, we see these everywhere, don't we? Just columns up on pedestals. But look at the different ground levels here. Up here, then we've got another one up here, and then probably another one up the top there. We've got the New World up the top here, Old World underneath, and then Old World again. So you can imagine the amount of dirt just for this little area that's come in. That's a lot of dirt. You know, the remains of pillars down here, frescoes, smashed pillars, walls, arches. Look at this, just complete devastation. And then up here, the massive giant structures and huge buildings in the background. It's just, I mean, that is just a ridiculous photo. What say ye? The prowess of the Pantheon. So I guess that's like the little bit that sticks out. In the background, you can see this just, I mean, ridiculously ancient old world structure. Huge columns again. I mean, look at this little doorway down here. compared to this. And look at this. See these columns? Has that been filled in at some point, do you think? See how you can see the columns there? Though they look squared off and these are rounded. So again, I don't know, is that some kind of refacading? Because with this facade, you can, when you look at it, you start to see the lines, that it's actually pieces that have been attached, like a jigsaw puzzle almost. What's that? Is that a statue holding something? And, you know, old world buildings in the background, but that, you know, this is just the giant, like Rome was, you know, another of these city for giants. Actually, Rome looks like it was both. It's got the giant buildings and the owl-sized buildings. And this is the tomb of St. Paul and the canopy of Arnolfo di Lappe in Paolo. Paolo, is that how you say it? And guess what? Yes, after a fire, the fire of 1823. But again, look at this, just destroyed. But look at all the old world. Same stuff we see everywhere. A random tower they turned into an observatory, and brick. Guys, look at all the bricks. Red brick. I mean, how many red brick just for that little bit there? Because look how thick the walls are too. I mean, red brick. Why the red brick? How the red brick? Where from the red brick? And this is the Forum flooded by the Tiber in 1898. Now, not only is it flooded by water, these buildings are completely just destroyed and smashed. Look at this thing. And then the same story, which we're starting to see. We've got the newer buildings, I guess they are, or at least the tops of buildings up here, and then down on this lower level, there's just this whole destroyed civilization. Just ridiculous. Some nice old world destruction. And again, look how thick these walls are. What could just smash through those walls? You know, especially when these buildings and everything else, they seem to last forever, so I don't know. But then clearly, as we've been seeing, we've got different ages here, so these may be the much more ancient structures. But yeah, something smacked that pretty well. And a view of the Forum in 1821, and it says right here, partly excavated, showing the difference between the ancient and the modern level. So it's right there in black and white, guys. They know this. The only thing that they don't say is that the reason was a mud flood, like an inundation. They say it was, I mean, and these are the levels. This is what they're saying. What I read before, they just heaped up their rubbish next to walls, and when they spread it out, it was this 10 feet of stuff. And again, just old world destruction everywhere. You know, mud just everywhere. You know, here we go with the old columns, and just obviously a completely devastated landscape. And they went in and they dug it out, as it says right there. And to finish with, just a few maps. So this is Rome, and as you can see, it was a huge walled city. And we have the aqueducts. Now look at these aqueducts. See how they're broken? And just see how things are just buried everywhere. This is all under mud. Look at it. It's just all, look at this big hill. And so it looks like lots of it's been cleared out, obviously. And we've got the obelisks and all the buildings here. It's quite a detailed picture. You know, and again, how did they do these maps? Oh, look at this. What's that? A ship. Wow. Bridges, everything's in there. But yeah, when you find the aqueducts, they're all broken. And, you know, we're told that Rome used the aqueducts, weren't we? Isn't that the story they say? But yeah, I'll leave you this map as well. There's a lot in here. You can have a good look at it. Got all the buildings, and it's all actually marked out and named if you can read Italian. But then if we get along here, we've got the water coming through, got a big mud flow here, something looks buried. This looks half buried, all these look half buried, look at that. So they've actually drawn the mud flood in. We've got mud flood windows here drawn in. And I'm just trying to find a bit of an aqueduct. Maybe there's more on the next map. What's this? Like this big star fort. Is that a lower level there? The doorway. And even the star walls are buried. And this one, pretty similar, but in color and from a different perspective slightly. This one has the Vatican up here. As we see, it's its own little star fort citadel. All the buildings have the canals. Look at that. We've got our star fort here. Another citadel. That's still there as well. The capital. All these things. Bit of mud flood here. Buried. And again, I'm not sure if that's the aqueduct, but see, yeah, it is. See how it's just broken in half? Bits of it coming out of here, just broken. This is all buried. And they're showing us this in the maps. Like this goes into the hill. Just 3 random pillars here, 3 random columns. And just, yeah, so it's obviously been dug out, but still a lot of signs of mud flood. Look at the size of that column, you know, in comparison to these houses. I mean, and they say that giants are a myth. And here's broken stuff. So yeah, completely mud flooded out, and Star Fort. The whole thing's a Star City. Down here again, more devastation. And here again, yeah, so here's another aqueduct. Broken here. And buried walls from the start. So a pretty interesting map. Again, I've forgotten what the date on this one is. Oh, here we go, 1567. Or so they say. This I found interesting. It's called the capital of Rome. But look at the levels it shows us. Again, got a lower level here, another level here, and then the newest level up here. Showing us that there have been several inundations here in Rome that they know of, or that they knew of in, 120 years ago. And just finish on this one. This is called the destruction of Rome, was it? Or the massacre, I think. Massacre of Rome. I don't know what all this is. It looks like it might be coming out of chimneys, smoke, maybe, fire. This massive ball on the top, Antiquitech ball. But yeah, this is the massacre. As you can see, they're running around just killing people. Dead people in the streets. It's a bit off. But that altar here. So what's going on? This is clearly mud flooded as well. After the devastation. Don't have a day. Oh, here we go. Is that 7-Eleven? 7-Eleven? That's a shock, isn't it? So yeah, maybe in the year 7-Eleven, who knows? But yeah, someone has come in, some people, something, some beings, and they've just come in and just started killing people and taking over the cities. And then, as we see now, a lot of these buildings they just destroy. They destroy the stars and just build their square left brain crap on top of it. And yeah, did you notice these mud flood windows even in these old drawings along here? So there we go, guys. Yeah, devastation, total devastation in Rome back in the day, and it was dug out. And I have one more book I'm going to do a video on soon, and it shows them digging everything out. It's really quite interesting, but it's just more proof. And as we saw, they know there's different levels. They talk about it. They just don't talk about the mud flood. They talk about silly things like it's just people's rubbish. Gosh, the stories they tell. So thanks for spending some time with me, guys. Hope you found that one interesting. Have a marvelous day, and I'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.